All right, we're back again here for week number 8 of Pete's Power Rankings. Yes, I go through, I watch 99% of all these games. I'm taking notes, keeping tabs, ranking everybody from 1 through 32, breaking it all down for you. An interesting week 7 in the NFL, a lot of movement, some teams cementing themselves amongst the top, and all the bottom teams, just when we thought their season was dead, they show some life. A lot of wins from those bottom dweller feeders. It just goes to show you never know in the NFL. But let's hop on right into it. Your bottom tier teams of the league. Just when we thought we knew who these teams were, little bit of a shakeup at the bottom here. All right, Carolina at the bottom here. They're on a bye, the only winless team in the NFL. I'm going to drop Arizona down. We just know what they are. They're not very talented. They play hard. They're going to fade in the second half. Chicago, good win for T-Bags. Defense playing a little bit better the last 2 weeks. Vegas, awful loss. They look like they wanted no part of playing on Sunday. Devontae Adams clearly wants out. Just trade him. Trade Max Crosby. Trade Josh Jacobs. Start over Vegas. Fire your head coach. Second worst coach in the league. Green Bay, an abysmal loss for the Packers. Coming off a bye, and you can't manage a single first half point against one of the historically bad defenses in Denver. Denver, nice win. You hung on to a second half lead. Congrats. Washington, 7 points against the Giants defense. Come on, man. Sam Howell takes way too many sacks. He holds onto the ball way too long. New Orleans, offense looked a little bit better. Still, I mean, there's some signs here, but you lost to Jacksonville at home. Derek Carr fighting with Chris Olave. Chris Olave just arrested. Don't know what that's going to do with stuff. It just doesn't feel quite right in New Orleans. Tennessee, you're a beneficiary of a bye. You're moving up 2 spots because you haven't embarrassed yourselves yet this year. And this was a tough one. I'm going to put the Giants here, last one at your bottom teams. I'm going to put them up 4 spots. Tyrod, do we have a controversy at quarterback in New York? Much better running the offense. Their offensive line is so beat up, so abysmal. But he's moving the football. Darren Waller, National Tight Ends Day, he showed up. Saquon's back. That helps. Daniel Jones got to play a lot more like Tyrod Taylor than he's played so far this season, and maybe the Giants will get back into some things. But let's get into our middle tier teams 22 to 16. All right, 22, I got the Patriots here. I might be crazy, but I loved what I saw from them. Like an actual offense, I could be just so jaded. I'm not used to it. But Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, I mean, this offense, they ran screenplays. Stevenson back. Defense, they came back. It was just kind of crazy. Congratulations to Bill Belichick. Win number 300. Colts are going to drop him a spot. You know, Minshew Mania, they put up 38 on an awful Browns defense. Now, they didn't play good. Don't get me wrong. They were good in spots, but they gave up a touchdown, lots of turnovers, had a blocked field goal. It's just a weird type of game. Got a little bit hosed at the end of that one, but they're a serviceable team. JT, welcome back. Falcons, Desmond Ridder's the worst quarterback in the NFL. He had 3 red zone turnovers, and Baker and the Buccaneers couldn't capitalize. Good win for the Falcons. They're now got to be the favorite to win that awful division. Houston on a bye. Love what I've seen from this Texans team so far. Tampa dropped them 2 spots. Every time we start to believe again in them, they just do dumb stuff like this. Back-to-back losses at home for the Buccaneers. Not good coming out of the bye. Baker was okay in spots, but just not good overall. Chargers, I hate Brandon Staley. Justin Herbert is hurt. He hasn't been sharp this year. He's dealing with that broken middle finger on his non-throwing hand. I just think he's uncomfortable. God, fire Brandon Staley. Rams, again, a team that just like, they dominate the first half, look completely in control. Their kicker just shits the bed, and they fold in the second half. It's not a very talented team, I don't think, and McVay's coaching his ass off, and I think we're getting a little fool's gold. I'm selling my Rams stock, but let's get into it. Our top 15 teams in the NFL, what everyone came here to watch. Okay, number 15, I'm going to keep the Jets here. They were on a bye this week. Let's see what the Jets can do. They've shown some life. They've been competitive in some games. Zach Wilson, I don't know. Is it like the defense is so good, and if Zach Wilson isn't like the worst quarterback in the NFL, we start to believe in him again. I just like this defense. It's a Super Bowl defense. Maybe the offense can do something. Maybe this team can stay afloat, and maybe Aaron Rodgers shows back up. It's a miracle. It's a long shot. But hey, man, the Jets defense can beat literally anybody in this league. It's can the offense not beat themselves? Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my Vikings up 4 spots here. Number 14, huge win at home on Monday night against the 49ers, and they dominated this game. They felt more physical than them. They shut down their pass rush, and they carved up this defense. Over 400 yards of offense. Kirk Clutchins was lights out on Monday night. Jordan Addison welcomed himself to the rest of the NFL world. If you've been watching the Vikings, you've known there's been something cooking there. Second in the league in receiving touchdowns, just behind Tyreek Hill. The offensive line, this is a unit that's graded out awesome throughout the season. They have two of the best tackles in football, and they get Bradbury, their center back, and it was a solid unit. No sacks tonight for their Niners defense, and their defense has been much better than last year, and that's been the thing with this team. They really haven't been that bad, much better than last year's team, but an inverse record. The turnovers have started to finally flip. They were horrendous in the turnover category through the first few weeks of the season. Turnover on the first drive again, but they're +2 in turnovers in back-to-back games, and maybe the luck's starting to get back on their side. This is a defense that's like top 15 and everything. They're really good. They force in turnovers now. This could be a Vikings team that's ready to go on a run, a soft upcoming schedule, couple of road games now, one at Green Bay this week after a tough Niners game. This is a big spot for the Vikings because somebody's got to get into that last wildcard spot in the NFC, and at 3-4, the Vikings are a viable team. Okay, at 13, I'm going to put the Steelers here at 13. They kind of feel like the Iowa Hawkeyes of the NFL. They love to win ugly games. They play games ugly. Mike Tomlin is a master at winning ugly games. They muddy it up. This defensive unit is awesome in the front. They're physical. They force turnovers. They do get beat sometimes on the back end, but they get after people and they make plays. And the offense, maybe Matt Canada is just lulling his opponents to a sleep in the first three quarters, and then they only have like a quarter worth of plays, and he knows that. So then they wake up in the fourth quarter and they win games. An ugly win for the Steelers, but they win games, man. The Steelers are just kind of like, they win games, and I don't know what to say. The offense isn't good. Kenny Pickett's looking a little bit better. Pickens is a real receiver, and they get Deontay Johnson back, and it's like, okay, could this like Steelers team, they ran the ball finally. More Warren. I've been asking for more Warren. We got more Warren. This is an interesting Steelers team. The problem is that division is stacked. Okay, at number 12, they were off. I got the Bengals up at 12. Kind of the Bengals lost this week because everybody in their division won. And so they lost half a game taking that bye. But they needed this week to get healthy. The Bengals had a nice win against the Seahawks 2 weeks ago. I'm going to be interested to see what this Bengals offense looks like moving forward. They've been banged up. Joe Burrow with the calf, T. Higgins broken ribs. I still think something's a little off with this offense, but maybe they can work out the kinks because we know this Bengals team. They've done it the last 3 years. They start slow, and by December and January, they're the last team you want to be facing. They're a really good unit. They're really good in big spots, in big games. So I'll be interested to see if the Bengals have turned over a new leaf and we're ready to watch them go on this big run. But for right now, I'm a little worried about the offense. The defense was really good against Seattle, but maybe that's just kind of Seattle. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks around this team. I think they have the largest window here. I can see the Bengals getting back up to the top 5 here, or I can see the Bengals falling off a cliff. It's just one of those things. I'm just not quite sure. So for right now, I'm going to stick them at 12. Okay, I'm going to drop the Bills 5 spots here. They're sitting at 4-3, and they've looked abysmal on offense the last 3 weeks. Now, Josh Allen, they turned it up. They had 3 second-half touchdowns to storm back in that Patriots game. But you can't be digging yourselves in a hole. You can't be turning the ball over, and you can't be playing flat and playing from behind because that's how you lose football games. They lost 2 out of the last 3. They really should have lost 3 out of their last 3. And the problem is their schedule is a gauntlet. I mean, I'm talking they still got to play the Chiefs. They still got to play Miami again in Miami. This defense is beat up. We know that. And things are weird in Buffalo. The window may have closed. The offense is so reliant on Josh Allen. It's crazy. They run the ball effectively sometimes, but they just don't stick with it. I want to see them run the football more. They got to be better at running the ball. They don't have that second kind of receiver, that slot guy that can get open, pick up those first downs like they've had in the past. They're way too reliant on Allen and Diggs. I'd be petrified if I'm a Bills fan. We could see this Bills team sitting at 8 wins and be like, what the hell happened to this team? So I'd be very concerned with the Bills right now, and it doesn't get any easier. They're at 11 for now, but it looks like this could be a team falling off a cliff fast. Okay, at number 10, I got the Seahawks at 10. Not a great performance from the Seahawks, honestly. They were missing DK Metcalf. He was kind of a late scratch. There were words he wasn't going to play. My man, but the problem is it's Geno Smith. It feels like Geno Smith is the problem. Defense was solid. They were on the field a lot. The Seahawks offense, there was a muff punt turnover. There's just a lot of weird plays. They turned the ball over way too much. They put the defense in tough spots. The defense did it good enough. Their pass defense is getting better, which I like to see. But this offense, man, they just K9 at running back. You got Lockett, you got JSN. You didn't have Debo this week, but Bobo stepped up, caught a touchdown. It's just like it feels like Geno is the one holding this team back. He stares down receivers way too much. He makes his decisions too early sometimes, and he's not reading the field, not dissecting the field as much as he needs to be. And that's going to be the limiting factor for this team. Otherwise, I really like the rest of this unit. Like good offensive line, good receivers, great running back. It's just the defense is getting better. I think Geno Smith is going to hold this team back ultimately, which is a shame. Seattle, go get yourselves a new quarterback because they re-signed Geno, and I think they messed this thing up. But they're moving towards the Super Bowl window, and they're not going to have a quarterback. Okay, how about the Brownies? Browns defense. They won a war against San Francisco, got a little lucky, but you need to be lucky to win games sometimes. And they get absolutely slaughtered, sliced up by that Indianapolis Colts offense. But they had a lot of big plays in the first half. They did good enough. And the Browns offense, they did it. I mean, I think we're in a weird spot here now. Deshaun Watson played. He hits his head. He comes out of the game. PJ Walker comes in, and then the offense starts clicking. The offense wasn't doing anything. They were down early. They roll. They score 39 points. This Browns team, I don't know what to do here. It feels like Deshaun Watson didn't even want to go back in that game. He's just happy sitting on the sideline. You have a $230 million quarterback that doesn't feel like he wants to play football, really, and it feels like the team's happy at not having him at quarterback. Maybe you go with PJ Walker. They're saying Watson's going to start this week. It's getting weird in Cleveland, man. You have an unbelievable defense. Now they come back to earth, obviously, but it's getting weird in Cleveland. Stefanski's not a good game manager whatsoever. I think that's a problem. It's just getting weird in Cleveland. It's a good football team. It's a great defense. Kind of a weird offense. Kind of a bad, weird coach. I don't know what to do with the Browns. But they're winning games. They're in a tough division. Let's see how it plays out for them. For right now, I got the Browns at 9. I really don't know what to do with this team or even what to expect from them week in and week out. Okay, at number 8, I got the Jags at 8 here. Second longest winning streak in the NFL. They've won 4 in a row. They're tearing off wins. Trevor Lawrence talking shit on Twitter. I like to see that from the Prince. But man, the Jags, they've turned this thing around. Defense was good, and then they kind of folded. We weren't really sure. Like, nobody knew about the Jags. Is the offense good? Is the defense good? We kind of think. We don't know. It's been ugly. It's not smooth. It's clunky. They let the Saints back in that game. But they got the win, man. They just win football games right now. They're sitting at their best record since 2007, I think. It's just kind of a weird football team. Another team that you don't really know what you're going to get week in and week out, but you think you're going to get a good offensive performance. You think you're going to get a good defensive performance. Travis Etienne is the man. He's the top 3 back in the NFL right now. Trevor Lawrence just makes plays. He just wants to win football games. Jags, man, I don't know what to say. I think they're going to win this division. Houston's the only team that's a real threat to them in this division, I think, but they should get a coast to a division title. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that 1 seed in the AFC, but I got to believe in the Jags right now. It's just like they haven't played their best, I feel like, and if they start playing better on offense more efficiently and the defense tightens things up, this is going to be a scary, scary team. Kind of like they were last year in the second half. If they can have that kind of growth that we're seeing, man, watch out. Okay, at number 7, I got the Cowboys here at 7. They were on a bye this week. Big, big win last week at the Chargers. It was tough. They needed it after getting blown out by the Niners. This is a real test coming up. We have a desperate Rams team coming into town. You had a week off. Let's see what we can do. Now, the offense looked a little bit better last week. Dak was good, but kind of everybody looks good against the Chargers secondary. But can we get better play calling? Can we get more red zone efficiency out of this offense? And the defense, they looked a little human the last few weeks. They're going to get rested up. They're going to get healthy. Let's see what this Cowboy team's, because it's all in front of them, honestly. They're still in the division. They haven't played Philly yet. You go beat Philly twice. we're talking a division title here. It's just a Cowboys team that feels like it's going to be ultimately limited by their head coaching, by their play calling, and possibly by Dak at quarterback. Other than that, I think everything else is fine. It's really hard to trust a Cowboys team that always kind of does this when they're good and then folds in the postseason. For right now, I got them at 7, but I think the Cowboys are a team that's either maybe going to stick around here or maybe they claw themselves back into an upper echelon. Lot to play for the Cowboys. I'll be interested to see how they play after the bye. Look, I'm only going to drop the Lions one spot here. This was a really bad spot for them. Back-to-back road games, AFC opponent. Sometimes it happens. You need a wake-up call. Now, you had that other not great loss to Seattle at home, but they got taken to the woodshed by the Ravens, and it was just a bad spot for them. I think this is one of those throw the tape outs games, like Dallas had that against San Francisco. I think Detroit's going to have that against Baltimore. You're at home on Monday night, first game since 2018. It's like the second game in like 25 years or something like that. At home, you got Vegas. God help Vegas. They're probably going to get their asses whooped. Detroit's also been pretty banged up. They've lost a lot of guys in the secondary, and they've had bang up at the skill positions. Just kind of not right, kind of not healthy for them. I'm still a believer in this Lions team, but look out, Minnesota's only 2 games back of the Lions now in the win column, so they have a very easy schedule moving forward. It should be enough to get this division done. I think this is a good Lions team. They're probably going to get a home game where they're awesome, and if they're playing indoors in the playoffs, I like them. I think this is a team just like a year away, but it'll be nice for them to get off the schneid, get into the postseason finally. Still like the Lions, not going to sell my sock. Everybody kind of has a bad game. I wouldn't be super concerned about that. Now, if we see signs against Vegas of them struggling, and if they do it again against other good teams, maybe we'll be a little worried about the Lions, what their ceiling could be. But for right now, I got the Lions at 6, especially if they're playing indoors. It's like a top 3 team. All right, at number 5, I got the Dolphins down 2 spots. Look, they had to go into a tough environment Sunday night against Philly, and they got beat, man. The offense, this high-flying offense, this is 2 games now on the road, outdoors, physical teams that they've sputtered. They've completely sputtered. They did it against the Bills. They did it against the Eagles. Now, the Dolphins defense did a really good job for like 3 quarters. They were trying. They were busting their ass to keep Philly in this. They scored a touchdown to tie the game up in the 3rd quarter. They played a lot better than I thought they were, but ultimately, when it came down to it, Philly just grinded them into a pulp, and that's just a better football team, I think. Now, if you're a Dolphins fan, I'd be concerned. You've been beaten by 2 physical teams outdoors, but they were super, super banged up along the offensive line. They were banged up in the secondary. They just were missing a lot of guys. It was a really bad. It's another road at a conference game, but you really wanted them to show up if you're a Dolphins fan. But Buffalo's slipping up. The division is wide open. Dolphins win the division. You got a home playoff game. They play good at home. It's not that cold in Miami in February and January. So I think this is a Dolphins team that maybe has some ceilings ultimately when it comes to cold weather postseason play. But if they can get this defense playing good and the offense can get a little better in those spots, maybe they win 2 playoff games. Maybe they go on the road and beat somebody. It'll be tough for them. But if you're a Dolphins fan, you got to be ecstatic that the division is wide open now with the Bills and the Jets and the Patriots just kind of sputtering in kind of no man's land. You have a decent lead. The loss doesn't hurt you for now. I'm not going to be petrified if I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm just going to be like, what's this team's ceiling ultimately? Kind of feel like the Detroit Lions. Okay, number 4, I got the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you, Baltimore. Thank you. Now, I know it was a bad spot for the Lions, but I've been asking for weeks. Please give me an offense. Give me real offense. And the Ravens ran a real offense on Sunday, and it was beautiful. They threw the ball downfield, created space. They had an awesome naked bootleg for Lamar's first touchdown. He had 4 tutties again. He's got the most touchdowns under the age of 30 with 4 total touchdowns on 75% completion. He was awesome. Mark Andrews showing out on tight ends day. And this is a Super Bowl quality defense. This defense has been ranking in the top of the league since they got Roquan Smith last season. They've been really slept on. They're just a stout unit. They make things difficult. They're not super flashy. They don't necessarily have that, elite pass rush, crazy turnovers, touchdowns, all that stuff. They're just physical. They're just tough. It's kind of like old school Ravens, Ray Lewis type defense. Just beat you up, take your lunch money. And if the offense can look more like this, more than what we've seen in the previous few games and more what we saw against Detroit, I love this Ravens team. I'll be all in on them as a serious contender in the AFC. But we know how the story goes. You got to keep Lamar healthy. You got to be able to run a real offense outdoors in bad weather, in Kansas City, in Cincinnati, that's it. But they're in a tough division. If they can hang on, get this division win, that'll be nice. Now, Baltimore's no great place to play in bad weather, but hey, you want to be at home in the postseason. So I got the Ravens here at number 4. I love what I saw from them on Sunday. And if they can keep this up, I'd be very, very worried if I'm in the AFC. Number 3, I got the San Francisco 49ers. That means there's a new team at the top of the rankings. I'm going to drop the Niners 2 spots here. Back-to-back losses. And hey, sometimes you have a bad game against, outdoors, Cleveland, bad weather, physical team. Your kicker misses a makeable field goal to win that game. Then you go Monday night into Minnesota, and they got pushed around, man. No doubts about it. This defense got carved up by Kirk Cousins, Jordan Addison, no Justin Jefferson, gave up over 400 yards of offense. Now, the offense, Brock Purdy and them, they were pretty good when they had their hands on the ball. They didn't have their hands on the ball much, but they were pretty efficient. They had a turnover on the first drive, though. That sucked. A missed field goal early. That was awful, but they moved the ball fine. But when it came down to it, Brock Purdy, back-to-back interceptions on the last 2 drives when the Niners needed it. And maybe Brock Purdy's not the most clutch guy in the world. And guess what? The kid's still learning. He's not even a full season, barely a full season, not even 16 games into his career. 16, we play 17 now. But I think this team is still growing. That's still learning. But they're also super banged up. No Debo, no Trent Williams. That makes a big difference for you. If you get those pieces back, Christian McCaffrey looked completely healthy. You got George Kittle. You got Brandon Ayuk. It's just a whole lot of things to deal with. Now, I'd be more concerned if I was the defense. They're relatively healthy. Secondary got cooked up. Tre'Davious Ward, man, got exposed. We know he's been playing a lot better. Chiefs fans been telling me he's not great. So Niners on a little bit of a skid here. Luckily, it was 2 road games. They still are in good position to win that division, and they're played good at home. The question is Brock Purdy, is this going to stick? Maybe he still needs to grow through this. But if you're a Niners fan, it's like, I'll take it. Let him get these experiences. Let him learn. You get him out of the way so you don't have to make it his first time, in Philadelphia at the Link in an NFC Championship game. Now he's going to have these experiences. He's going to get these reps. He's going to learn from it. So nothing to panic about San Francisco, but maybe we were a little too high on Brock Purdy. I know I wasn't. He still was awesome in this game. Up into those last 2 drives, he was lighting it up. So I'll be interested to see how Frisco rebounds. They have a bye coming up in 2 weeks. They got to get healthy. Debo's out for that time. Hopefully Trent Williams can get back this week, but critical time if you're a 49ers. Okay, number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles, awesome performance against Miami at home. They wore the Kelly Greens. A lot was up against the Dolphins. They didn't stand much of a chance. Jalen Hurts is clearly hurt, though. Had a brace on his knee. His running wasn't comfortable. There's something bugging him. Maybe all these brotherly shoves, getting guys smashed in you. Maybe he's got broken ribs, rib cartilage. Who knows? Knee, who knows? But he just doesn't look quite right. But this offense is really good when it needs to be. A.J. Brown is clutch in critical situations. 125 yards receiving in 4 straight games. Devontae Smith back into the fray. Dallas Goedert had a big game. It was just a really nice performance from the Eagles overall. They turned the ball over way too much, though. Jalen Hurts, 10 turnovers this year. Only had 8 all of last year. So that is a problem. They got to tighten that up. Defense isn't quite as good as it was last year, but still pretty good unit. They got Baby Rhino, Jalen Carter. How the NFL let them draft him at 9 is beyond me. He's a freak of nature. He's going to replace Fletcher Cox here soon as that dominant interior presence. But overall, a very strong win from the Eagles. Good offensive performance, good defensive performance. Again, sitting atop the NFC, and it's the same 2 teams from last year. And I don't even feel like the Eagles have played their best ball yet, which is frightening to think about. If you can go 5-1 and not play your best ball, but your schedule's getting tougher here. It's about to tighten up. You had a very soft first half of the schedule, relatively speaking. So let's see if the Eagles can knuckle up, see what they are made of, and actually prove they are here to stay. Their NFC is theirs for the taking. All right, and your new number one, the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, we didn't overreact to week one, loss at home, no Travis Kelce to the Lions. It happens, man. Now the owners of the longest win streak in the NFL. They've chunked off 6 in a row, and they are fun again. They haven't been fun. It's been ugly. Their defense is the real deal, man. They make life miserable for teams. And if this team can get a lead, it's going to be real hard to take those lead backs like they have in the past. And you know what? We've been looking for the receivers to step up, and Rice seems to be the guy. I've liked what I've seen. I've seen flashes of it. We need that more consistently. He was good again. Pacheco runs like a maniac. He runs so hard. Love the way he runs the football. Travis Kelce, T Swift's in the building. He's a dominant force. Now, she was only not there for one game, and he did get hurt in that game, but it's like, it happens, man. It happens. This is a great football team. They're the pride of the AFC. They're the best team. It's the Arrowhead Invitational. What else can I say about the Chiefs? We just know how good the Chiefs are. Everybody's been put on notice. The Chiefs are not going anywhere. As long as Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid is the head coach, this team's going to be in the AFC Championship game, most likely. They're for sure going to win this division. They're for sure going to be in the playoffs. They got Denver again this week. The Chiefs should be cooking once again. And it's hard to deal with this team, man. There's just so much good about them. Another team that didn't play their best ball for a few weeks, and it really hasn't bugged them whatsoever. They just win football games, and the defense is real deal, and it's going to make life hell for teams to come back on them. So any offensive deficiencies have been more than covered up by this defense. Chiefs at number one this week. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Did I go crazy? You know, am I overreacting, not reacting enough with the Ravens and the Lions? How about the Dolphins? You love the Chiefs at one. What about my Vikings? Sneaky team creeping up, I think. I don't know. And the Bills, are they about to fall apart? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We got new sorts content every single day of the week. If you want to support the channel more, click that join button. Channel memberships, you get access to lots of cool perks, stuff like that, early access to videos, exclusive content, helps me keep making all this great content for you guys. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.